First, I have to also show you my shirt. Can you see it? Important. Hello! I wanted to do a little booth update. It's been, I think, about 2 years since I did my, how I made my booth, and I've learned a lot since I did that, and I've made some changes. But I wanted to share what I changed, what I learned over the time, and also the fact that in 3 months we're going to be moving, and I am going to take the whole thing apart and we're going to rebuild it. And I think I will make a video about that. So what I learned from the beginning, first of all, the things I've upgraded. Since the beginning, I started on a AT2020 mic and a Scarlet solo interface. I have since upgraded from the get-go to a Rode NT2A and a MOTU M2 interface. I also upgraded my cable to a Mogami XLR cable, they're really expensive, but what I was getting it was like 2 things. When my phone was sometimes in the booth, there would be interference, so I have to put it into airplane mode. And the cable that I had was just like the cable that came with my original mic. It was a very long cable, and I didn't know that I really needed to properly wind it. And the reason is because the braided cord inside, if it's not consistently wound correctly, it can kind of get in the wrong position, basically. I know that's not the most technical thing, but it can create a little interference. So I was starting to get this little I didn't know if it was my phone or the cable. I took my phone out of the booth. It was still happening. So I got a new cable, and that solved it. It's really good. It's a really good cable. It's 2 feet long, which is not long at all, but it does the job because my mic is right next to my interface. I also learned with my MOTU M2, my room tone got a little bit better. Not much, it's a small change, but I did notice a difference between the interface. It's, not wildly so. You're definitely still good with the Scarlet Solo. The only bad thing I learned about my MOTU is for some reason my computer sometimes has a harder time connecting to it. I'm on a Mac Studio, and it just has to be turned off and on again sometimes. And then with Source Connect, I had to change my privacy settings for some reason to allow my MOTU to connect. So I had one panicked Source Connect session where I couldn't connect for a bit and I didn't know why. And luckily I still had my Scarlet Solo, so I switched it out really fast before my session. But once I figured out the privacy settings, it was fine, which is just super weird because obviously it was always fine with my Scarlet and I never changed anything. So the other thing, if you noticed, whenever I did my camera into my booth, I moved, everything was on this wall here, on the wall right when you walk through the door. I had my mic on this wall. I also had my monitor on this wall. I had a bigger monitor. I upgraded my monitor as well. So my monitor that I had started with was both really old and kind of large. It was 21 inches, which, not large, but in this booth, it was very large. And because it was old, it could kind of run hot. It was this thick in the back, and it definitely made the heat of my booth go up a little bit quicker. I since upgraded to, I'll pop it on screen, this portable extra monitor that's incredibly thin and lightweight. It is smaller, so sometimes I have to change my text size a little bit. But what was happening before also was my old one was flickering every time I was using it, especially with the camera connected, because its refresh rate was a different amount as my regular monitor refresh rate, and I have it mirrored. So whatever. Love this new monitor. It made a huge difference. I have more room for my mic to be there. Moved it all to this side, and the reason is the way I had it set up before, I had my keyboard and mouse just sort of propped up on this little corner shelf, and that was frustrating because I couldn't really use my keyboard and mouse easily. So I added an extra shelf underneath my little corner shelf so that my keyboard and mouse is right at my standing height, so that wasn't such an annoying little thing. And for some reason, my room tone is also a little bit quieter. Just removing my mic, even though it's on, the cardioid pickup pattern, it's a little bit quieter. It does make sense because this direction, so like I'm facing the mic right now, this is where my window in my office is. So I guess just the side pickup isn't quite as intense as the front pickup. I guess. That's my best guess. I didn't expect that to happen because I have rock wool evenly in these walls that are surrounding it. So I don't think it's that. The other thing I learned that was unnecessary is we added rock wool underneath the booth because my downstairs neighbors are loud. And they're my enemies. That didn't do anything. So don't do that. If you want to try to shove some rock wool into your booth, didn't make a difference at all. So I think the only thing you could probably do is actually build a different, I don't know if it'd be cement or whatever, but if you have downstairs neighbors, they are my biggest issue. Everything else I can mostly cut out, or it's quiet enough where it's not a big deal. When they're playing the bass so loud, they're pumping their music, there is nothing to be done. I don't use my fan unless I'm recording something for YouTube. It is not worth it. It just picks up a little bit. It's not horrible, but too good to be true. I have had multiple compliments from engineers specifically compliment the sound of my booth, which is really nice, especially since I am in a loud New York area. So it has worked. I've gotten multiple compliments. People like my website a lot. All of the demos on my website were recorded in this booth. So if you want to listen to that, it's all here. And all of my work so far has been in this booth. My goals for when we move, we're going to rebuild this booth, but we are going to be, hopefully in the next year or two, building a bigger booth with the exact same thing in mind, but just a little bit bigger because as you can see, that's my arms. So it is small, but for the cost of what it was at the time, and also the space I had in my very small apartment, this is the biggest that it could be. And sometimes, I knock into something and I have to redo that line. The other thing that I will be updating when we move is I need to add something on the floor that is better on my feet. Because right now I just have some soft fabric that I put on top of the plywood and my feet start to hurt so badly on these long 3-hour sessions. So that is definitely something I would have considered when building it, is keeping room on the bottom for something more like Tempur-Pedic or something. So I'm going to be experimenting with that as well. Oh, and then, of course, the only other thing I updated, I wanted something that felt a little more personal, because as professional as these, foam insulation might look, I realized in classes I appreciated when other people had something in their booth that immediately let me understand who they were a little bit. There was if they had little anime things in their room, or if they had, art, or they're very colorful, or even if they were just red and black. I feel like it immediately gives a vibe, and I thought that was a really smart idea. So I changed and I added this little tapestry behind me. It has nothing to do with soundproofing. It's just for decoration. And some little fabric flowers that my best friend made me, and this little dinosaur art, and these pumpkins that I painted. And I thought that was a really nice addition. And I hadn't done it for so long because I think I wanted to be taken really professionally, but personally, that's what I've noticed I like in another booth. So I tried to incorporate that. Okay, I had to jump back in. So I was starting to edit this video, and I had called my parents and told them I wanted to do this, and they were like, oh, you should include audio from when you were in your closet, and then when you started in this booth, and then now, and compare the three, because I was listening back to my very first VO booth video to find some clips, and I realized, wow, even that sounds significantly worse than it does now. Moving this one more on mic. So I just went back into my archives of my very first things that I did. Holy crap! They're so much worse! I'm actually stunned. So I'm going to share, really quickly, my very first mic setup. Then I'm going to share raw audio of everything. Then I'm going to share my closet booth sample of something. Then I'll share one of my beginning booth of this one and versus now. And I think you will hear the difference.
Research shows that most cybersecurity teams only have time and resources to investigate 4% of detected alerts. Here's the deal with SEO on Wix. You get a site with out-of-the-box defaults, built to the highest technical standards, with server-side rendering for HTML and SEO tags.
As the night grows ever longer, you must maintain your resolve. Fight together, keep the fires lit, and never lose hope.
This is Madeline Harsh, and you are in my home booth. This is a raw audio sample, and you are hearing me on my Rode NT2A Condenser XLR mic that is going into my MOTU M2 interface that is then running through my Mac Studio, and I'm using Logic Pro as my DAW. Anyway, that's what I've learned over the last 2 years being in my booth. I feel like I finally got to the point that everything is upgraded as much as it needs to be. I might upgrade my mic in the coming months. We'll see. It hasn't been necessary. This has been a really solid microphone for me and has sounded really good on my voice. And I have had no complaints at all. All in all, very worth it. Very worth it to have built it. I've booked so many more professional jobs this last year than I ever did. I mean, obviously, when I got started, and I'm really grateful for that, but it's been really validating that it was all worth it, and it built really well, and even in a very loud area, it really does its job. So I can't wait to be moving to a quieter area where it sounds even better. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about any of these things, let me know. I've learned a lot about the tech side in the last couple years. I've learned a lot about just the mic technique and all of the things, and I feel like I have a really solid setup that feels really good, and now the only idea is to expand. So good luck on your voice or just microphone endeavors, whatever it is. Maybe you're streaming. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.